On the 3-year memorial of my brother, my girlfriend, who promised to go to the cemetery with me, disappeared. That night, I received a message from her, "I'm away on a business trip." I didn't reply, just silently packed my things. At midnight that night, Emily Johnson's ex-boyfriend, Tom Smith, updated his social media. The photo showed Wendy holding a birthday cake, looking at Howard with tenderness. The caption read, "28th birthday, it's so good, the people who love you will remember everything about you." I didn't make a crazy phone call to question her like I used to. I just casually took a screenshot of Howard's post and saved it. I also updated my social media with just an emoji of 3 candles. Wendy called, her voice tinged with apology. "Don't be angry, I didn't mean to forget your brother's memorial, I'll remember next time." 3 years ago, my brother took a fatal blow for Wendy, but now Wendy had completely forgotten it, immersed in a world of tenderness. Thinking of this, I slowly opened my mouth, a bleakness in my eyes. "No need, there won't be a next time." Wendy didn't come home until a week later. Before she did, she sent me a message saying she was carsick and her stomach was upset, and she wanted to eat my gingerbread cookies. In the past, every time she went on a business trip, I would prepare everything before she even asked, but not this time. Seeing that I didn't reply or contact her, Wendy called, "Jack Thompson, where are you? Why don't I see you?" I casually replied while tidying up my study, "I'm busy, take a cab back yourself." "Leo, you used to pick me up from business trips." Wendy's voice on the phone was slightly dissatisfied, and I casually brushed her off. "Aren't I busy? Are you out of cab fare? I'll transfer you the money." She hung up the phone. I walked to the kitchen, suppressed my inner emotions, and started preparing my lunch. I was eating lunch when Wendy dragged her huge suitcase in. She was covered in sweat, completely devoid of her usual carefree appearance. She put down her luggage and went straight to the kitchen. "Aren't my gingerbread cookies ready yet?" In the past, after making her food, knowing she had a bad stomach, I would keep it warm in the pot. She opened all the pots in the kitchen, but they were all empty. "Leo, what's going on? Didn't I say I had a stomachache and wanted to eat gingerbread cookies? Can you not even make such a simple dish anymore? Or do you just not care about me?" In the past, I would have rushed to the kitchen to cook for her, but now I just took a sip of my hot tea and said calmly, "I'm tired, order takeout yourself." Wendy walked up to me, pulled out the chair next to me, and said with some dissatisfaction, "I know you're still angry about me missing your brother's memorial because of my business trip, but I forgot. Can you let me eat something first? I'm tired." Wendy looked at me with a tired expression and a helpless face, as if I were some unreasonable child. I drank the last sip of hot tea, got up, and took the dishes away. "I'm not angry." Wendy still insisted, "It's normal for a police officer to go on business trips. I didn't want to miss your brother's memorial, but it's work, I can't help it." I replied in a flat tone, "Yeah, I understand." Seeing that I was still unmoved, Wendy suddenly deflated, and she slumped in the chair. "I'm already very tired. Can you be considerate of me?" "Okay, go rest," I replied in a lukewarm tone, looking at her like a stranger. Honestly, it was pretty boring. It wasn't a business trip at all, but going to celebrate her ex-boyfriend's birthday, and she was still lying. She did it. Why couldn't she admit it? But I couldn't be bothered to expose her clumsy lies. Wendy stared at me, her eyes tinged with impatience. "Haven't you wanted to see a Broadway musical in New York for a long time? I'll go with you tomorrow." Wendy crossed her arms, looking like she was doing me a favor. I didn't show the joyful look Wendy wanted to see, just calmly refused. "No need." If I hadn't seen Howard's update this morning, I probably would have been moved to tears and picked her up in my arms right now. In the morning, Howard's update was just a funny photo of Wendy. The caption read, I said I wanted to see a Broadway musical in New York for a long time, and she said she would check it out for me when she gets back to see if it's good. This woman is so cute. Probably not expecting me to react like this, Wendy looked at me in surprise. No need? Why? Have you forgotten that tomorrow is our 6th anniversary? I said with a realization. I did forget. Wendy's face was a little ugly. She stood up and walked directly in front of me. How could you forget our anniversary? Okay, don't be angry. Tell me what surprise you've prepared for me. I've been too busy lately, I forgot. How about this? Is there anything you want? I'll buy it for you. Or I'll just transfer the money to you. You can buy whatever you want. Hearing this, Wendy looked incredulous. My gift? You're letting me buy it myself? Wendy glared at me with red eyes, a hint of sadness flashing in her eyes. We've been together for so many years, and every anniversary, I would personally make her all kinds of gifts. Last year, she casually said that the ring worn by the girl in the video she saw was unique, so I became an apprentice and spent half a year making her a unique ring. The year before, she said she wanted to design the new house herself, so I went to study design myself and personally designed and decorated the new house for her. Wendy stood there, looking at me with dissatisfaction. I suddenly didn't know how to deal with the situation, so I picked up my clothes from the couch and turned to leave. Wendy suddenly grabbed me. Where are you going? I replied in a flat tone, I have an appointment to paint a portrait. After speaking, I forcefully Wendy's tightly clenched hand, opened the door, and walked out, ignoring Wendy's ruckus behind me. I studied painting in college, and after graduating, I painted portraits for people all year round. After being with Wendy, because Wendy said she didn't like me painting portraits for others, and that she would feel insecure, I gave up my beloved career and switched to drawing comics. And now, I can finally continue my beloved career. After the portrait was finished, the client looked at my work with satisfaction. You're finally back. We've been waiting for you for a long time. I'll introduce you to clients now. You can't bury your superb painting skills. I smiled and said, then thank you. I picked up my phone and found that there were several missed calls. Some were from Wendy, and others were from my good brother, David Brown. I ignored Wendy's calls and casually returned my good brother's call. What's up? Buddy is back. Thinking that our brothers haven't gathered for so many years, let's take this opportunity to get together again? Can you come? Will your woman let you? Yes, send me the address. After being with Wendy, she first deleted all my female friends on the grounds of insecurity, and later asked me to stay away from my good brothers because she wanted me to spend all my time with her. Considering that she was busy with work, what she said made sense, so I gradually stayed away from those brothers. Seeing me, Ethan pretended to be touched. It's really rare. We invited you, the great Buddha, today. Your woman at home won't be angry, right? I smiled and shook my head. In the future, don't worry so much about finding me. I'll be there whenever you call. I drank round after round with my brothers, and I only felt dizzy, but my body and mind were extremely relaxed. This was the first time I felt so relaxed and comfortable after being with Wendy for so many years. After being with Wendy, I took care of her wholeheartedly. For her, I gave up my beloved career and stayed away from my former friends. I thought that loving someone meant being unconditionally good to her and satisfying everything she wanted. But now that I think about it, I was so stupid. I took out my phone to check the time, but found that Wendy was still calling me nonstop. I answered the call, and a series of complaints came from the phone. Where did you run off to in the middle of the night? Don't you know I'll be worried? I've been tired from my week-long business trip. Can you be considerate and stop worrying me? And none of your business, I answered intermittently, and the other side suddenly fell silent. After a while, I heard Wendy say with slight anger, You've been drinking? Give me an address. I'll pick you up. For a moment, I was in a daze. Wendy wanted to pick me up. But subconsciously, I still didn't want her to pick me up, so I remained silent. Ethan, on the side, leaned over with a smile. Sister-in-law, it's at Sunset Boulevard Bar. I glared at Ethan with dissatisfaction, and when I came back to my senses, the other side had already hung up the phone. When Wendy arrived, my brothers had already left. They were all envious of me when they found out I had a girlfriend coming to pick me up. But I felt a faint sense of irritability in my heart. Wendy got out of the car, walked up to me, and looked at my drunken state with sarcasm. Jack Thompson, why are you so petty? I already explained that I didn't mean to miss your brother's memorial. Aren't you over it yet? You have to drink yourself into this state just to get my attention? You're so old, and you're still playing these tricks. Is it interesting? Perhaps it was because I hadn't had alcohol for too long. My mouth moved before my reason. What business trip? I saw it all. I saw everything. Wendy, am I easy to fool? Is this fun for you? My head was dizzy, and my eyes were full of pain when I looked at Wendy. A trace of guilt flashed in Wendy's eyes, and she turned her head away unnaturally. Howard and I broke up many years ago. Now we're just ordinary friends. Is there anything wrong with friends meeting up? Besides, I'm your girlfriend now. You don't need to be angry with me because of Howard. You're thinking too much. I'm not angry at all. Wendy turned to look at me, but when she spoke again, she was angry. Enough is enough. Howard and I are just ordinary friends. I just happened to celebrate his birthday. Don't be unreasonable. Since I came back, you haven't considered how tired I am. Instead, you've been throwing a tantrum at me. I have a temper, too, Jack Thompson. Don't push it too far. Okay, get in the car and go home. I supported my body and staggered behind Wendy, my eyes full of sadness as I looked at her back. You see, that's how Wendy is. She can always turn black into white and push all the problems onto me. Along the way, neither of us took the initiative to speak. Wendy glanced at me several times, but in the end, she didn't say anything, and her face was a little ugly. In the past, every time we were alone, I would talk nonstop, sharing all kinds of things, big and small, with Wendy. But now, I just wanted to get out of the car as soon as possible. After getting out of the car, Wendy followed behind me. Seeing my staggering appearance, she sighed helplessly and reached out to support me. But I avoided her without leaving a trace. I walked into the house with the last bit of consciousness and went straight to the guest bedroom, lying down in the room before Wendy could react. Wendy walked into the guest bedroom and said with some dissatisfaction, "Why aren't you sleeping in the master bedroom? What are you doing running to the guest bedroom? Hurry over there." I ignored her, turned over, and continued to sleep. Wendy stood in front of the bed for a long time, but in the end, she didn't say anything more. I only felt my consciousness becoming more and more blurred, and I fell into a deep sleep. The next day, when I woke up and washed I was surprised to see Wendy sitting at the dining table. "You're awake. If you're awake, come eat breakfast." Wendy's tone was still filled with anger, obviously very dissatisfied with me. This was the first time in so many years that Wendy had taken the initiative to prepare breakfast for me. If it were in the past, I would be moved and eat it all. But now, I casually glanced at the food on the table and only felt nauseous. After washing up, I walked to the refrigerator, took out bread and toast, and ate them casually. Seeing that I ignored her, Wendy's face was terrifyingly gloomy. "Jack Thompson, don't go too far." "What's wrong with me?" I looked at Wendy with confusion. Seeing that she didn't say anything, I didn't try to coax her. Instead, I turned around, changed my clothes, and walked out of the house. I went back to my University of California, Los Angeles. Some time ago, a college teacher contacted me and said that a university in Los Angeles wanted to hire me as a teacher. I hesitated for a long time and didn't give the teacher an answer. I thought that Wendy and I were finally about to get married after so many years. If I ran to Los Angeles at this time, our relationship would be affected more or less. But now, Wendy was no longer in my plans. Painting portraits and teaching were both things I loved to do. My brother once said that I was very suitable for imparting knowledge and that I had an innate teacher's temperament. And now, I can finally do what I like without any worries. Seeing me, the college teacher was very happy. He patted my shoulder with a gratified expression. Good. That's great. You finally agreed. But I heard you have a 7-year girlfriend. If you go to Los Angeles, will she go with you? I replied with a wry smile. No, we broke up. After saying goodbye to the college teacher, I planned to go home and start packing some of my things. As soon as I opened the door, I heard laughter coming from inside. I pushed the door open and walked in. I saw Wendy hugging a man, smiling. I recognized that man. It was Howard. Probably not expecting me to come back so early, Wendy quickly pushed Howard away, looking a little unnatural. Howard just arrived today. He's here on a business trip. He doesn't know many people here, so I invited him to my house for dinner. We were just old friends reuniting, just a hug. It's okay, no need to explain. I looked understanding, my tone was flat, with no emotional fluctuations. Howard smiled and greeted me, a hint of show-off flashing in his eyes. Leo, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've always heard Wendy say you have a good temper, and I've seen it today. I understood the meaning of Howard's words, but I was too lazy to deal with him. I smiled and turned to go to the kitchen. Howard is here today, make some more dishes and let him see your cooking skills. Wendy stepped forward, looking nonchalant. But I just poured myself a glass of water and drank it all in one gulp. I'm afraid that won't work today, I'm a little tired. How about this? I'll order takeout for you. Wendy's face darkened immediately, and she didn't say a word, just glared at me fiercely. I knew that she was signaling that she was angry, and if I didn't go along with her, she wouldn't talk to me for a while. I have to say, Wendy was very good at manipulating me. If it were in the past, as long as she was a little dissatisfied, I would rush to please her in every way. If she wanted the stars in the sky, I would try my best to find a way to pick them for her. But now, I just turned around and left the kitchen. When I passed Howard, I smiled and said to him, "Make yourself at home." Wendy, does Leo seem unhappy that I'm here? Should I leave? Don't mind him, he's just having an early midlife crisis. He's having another episode. I'll cook for you and let you taste my cooking. Then I'm really lucky. I walked into the bedroom and started packing my things. After packing for a.w. Heil, I found that there was nothing in this house that I could take away. The closet was full of Wendy's clothes, and my few were hidden in a small corner, pitifully few. And the whole house was full of Wendy's things. In the end, I gave up the idea of leaving with a suitcase. I didn't know when Wendy came in. She looked at the messy bedroom with disgust. What are you doing now? Where's the salt? Oh, there's no salt. There's no salt. Don't you know how to buy it? Go buy it now. I looked at her in confusion. Why should I go buy it? I don't eat it. We've been together for so many years, and I've been responsible for everything in the house, from furniture to the necessities. Perhaps after a long time, she had gotten used to ordering me around. Wendy's eyes were about to burst into flames. She yelled at me, "Fine. Jack Thompson, you're something. I kindly gave you a way out, but you wouldn't take it. Then let's see who can outlast who." After speaking, without waiting for me to speak, Wendy stormed out. I looked at Wendy's back with a helpless expression, only thinking why this person got angry so easily. As if I had done something wrong. Let's go. Howard, let's go out to eat. I'll take you to a bar. Wendy pulled Howard out and deliberately slammed the door hard when she left. I sat on the bed, feeling confused, not understanding what she was trying to do. Lying on the bed, I casually browsed my phone and saw an update from Howard a minute ago. I think I'm the happiest man in the world, no matter what, she's always with me. The comments section was full of Wendy's girlfriends. That's great, that's what love is. I'm so envious, she's back after all this time, when will I have such love? I saw another of Wendy's girlfriends tag Wendy below. Did you break up with Jack Thompson? The ex is still better. I saw the person involved, Wendy, personally commenting, it's so good to have you. And to her girlfriend's tag, Wendy just replied with an ambiguous little expression that could easily be misunderstood. Wendy's girlfriends didn't like me from the first time they saw me, I knew that. Every time we met, they would sarcastically say how good Wendy's ex was and how well matched they were. After a long time, I tentatively opened my mouth to Wendy and asked why her girlfriends always mentioned other men in front of me. But after hearing my words, Wendy accused me of not being able to take a joke. Looking at the lively comments section, I didn't do anything, casually turned off my phone, and went to sleep. Wendy came back with Howard. Howard carefully put Wendy on the bed in a Princess Carrie, and then turned to look at me. Wendy had too much to drink, and she used to have a stomachache every time she drank too much. Remember to make her a cup of honey water. As he turned to leave, Howard specially turned back to remind me, by the way, remember not to make the honey water too sweet, Wendy doesn't like sweets. Wendy didn't know when she woke up. She looked at Howard with tenderness in her eyes. Howard, you still remember. Looking at the two of them, whose eyes were about to melt, I kindly said, why don't I give you the room tonight? I'll sleep in the guest bedroom? Hearing this, Howard and Wendy were both stunned. Howard glanced at Wendy and turned to leave. After Howard left, Wendy suddenly sat up. She looked at me with dissatisfaction. Jack Thompson, what do you mean now? Your girlfriend doesn't come home at night. Don't you know to call and ask? My girlfriend's boyfriends all personally pick them up, but you don't pick me up. You don't even call and ask me? Jack Thompson, is this your love for me? As she spoke, Wendy's eyes turned red. Your girlfriends don't like me. Why would I go up and be annoying? Besides, isn't there your good friend Howard? He brought you back. What do I have to worry about? I leaned against the door, looking at Wendy with confusion, really unable to understand what she was angry about. Wendy often went out to play with those girlfriends, and it was common for her to play until midnight. In the past, I was so worried that I couldn't sleep, and I made one phone call after another. But every time, she either hung up my phone directly or blacklisted me directly. Later, I went to pick her up in person, but she said in front of many girlfriends that I didn't give her space, and that she felt uncomfortable with me like that. Now that I've completely let go, she can come back whenever she wants. But she turned around and accused me of not caring about her and not having her in my heart. I really couldn't figure out what she wanted. Wendy looked at me in surprise, her eyes full of disbelief. You were relieved that Howard brought me back? I chuckled. What's wrong with that? Aren't you good friends? Wendy was stunned. She stared at me blankly. After a long time, she seemed to have thought of something and chuckled. Did you see Howard's moments? You must be jealous, right? Okay, Howard's moments was just a punishment for losing a truth or dare game. It doesn't mean anything else. Don't overthink it. Wendy looked at me with a smile, her eyes full of indifference. Seeing that I was silent, Wendy spoke again. Howard hasn't been back for so many years, it's only natural that I invited him. Wasn't I going to invite him to eat at home this afternoon? Wasn't it you who didn't buy me salt? In the end, it's still your fault. Yes, my fault. It's my fault for not breaking up with you sooner. Wendy, let's break up, I said calmly, looking at Wendy with a serious expression. Wendy stopped smiling. She stared at me silently, trying to find a trace of flaw in my expression. Break up? Jack Thompson, what are you joking about? I'll forgive you this time, but don't casually joke about breaking up again in the future. Okay, it's so late. Let's talk about anything tomorrow. Let's go to sleep. Wendy stepped forward, wanting to pull me to the bed, but I avoided her without leaving a trace. Wendy looked at her empty hand, her eyes somewhat hurt. Okay, rest early. I ignored Wendy, turned, and walked into the guest bedroom. Wendy, behind me, looked shocked, standing there stunned for a long time. After realizing it, she ran barefoot to the guest bedroom, wanting to push open the door. But she found that the door had been locked by me. She kicked the door of the guest bedroom angrily, and finally returned to the master bedroom, slamming the door of the master bedroom hard. Lying on the bed, I rubbed my temples wearily and fell into a deep sleep. It turned out that after Wendy's shadow disappeared from my mind, my long-term insomnia suddenly got better. The next morning, before I woke up, I heard my phone ringing non-stop. It turned out that my good brother Ethan had heard from my college teacher that I was going to Los Angeles, and he specially came to ask if that was the case. Yes, the teacher is right, I'm going to Los Angeles, I answered sleepily, holding my phone. You're leaving, and we don't know when we'll see you again. Then we have to call our good brothers to get together and have a drink, right? I casually agreed. When I went out, Wendy was no longer at home, and my things in the master bedroom were casually thrown on the floor. I knew that Wendy was telling me in this way that she was angry, and the consequences were serious. But I pretended not to see it and directly closed the door of the master bedroom. When I walked to the door of the private room that Ethan had booked, I saw two uninvited guests through the crack in the door. It was Wendy and Howard. I took half a step back, took out my phone, and carefully confirmed the room number. 250, that's right, it was the private room Ethan booked. I was about to call Ethan and ask him what was going on when the door of the private room suddenly opened. Why are you so late? What are you doing standing at the door? Come in, we've been waiting for you for a long time. Come on, the protagonist of today is here. I immediately met Wendy's eyes. Her eyes were full of shock. Howard was sitting next to Wendy, thoughtfully putting a coat on her. Come on, Leo, let me introduce you. This is Howard, a brother I recently met. I ran into him on the way and brought him here without permission, and next to him is Howard's girlfriend. I nodded towards Howard and said with a chuckle, we know each other. Wendy never liked my brothers, and after being together for so many years, she had never shown her face in front of my brothers. So, it was normal that Ethan and the others didn't know the relationship between me and Wendy. Wendy kept staring at me, constantly winking at me, signaling me to sit next to her. I chose to ignore her and sat directly next to Ethan, the furthest away from Wendy. Seeing that Wendy's face was a little ugly, Howard said with a smile, I'm sorry, Leo. I even brought Wendy to join in your brother's gathering. I'm sorry. It's okay. Have fun. I clinked glasses with Ethan and replied casually, my eyes full of indifference. Wendy, on the side, always looked like she wanted to say something but stopped, and finally lowered her head to silently eat the dishes on the plate, playing with her phone without saying a word. The phone in my pocket suddenly rang non-stop, and one message after another popped up. No way. Leo, your girlfriend is looking for you again? Why doesn't she always let you have dinner with us? I took out my phone, looked at Wendy meaningfully, and said in a flat tone, what girlfriend? I already broke up. Across from me, Emily Johnson suddenly froze, then started furiously typing on her phone. I watched message after message pop up on my screen. Tom Smith dragged me here. I couldn't exactly refuse him in front of everyone. Why didn't you tell them I was your girlfriend? What did you mean by that just now? What do you mean, we broke up? Jack Thompson. Explain yourself. I don't agree. Seeing that I had put down my phone without replying to any of her messages, Wendy relentlessly continued to text me, "Let's leave together when this is over. You've been drinking, you can't drive." I casually replied, "No need." After that, no matter how much my phone vibrated, I didn't pick it up once. After a few rounds of drinks, everyone was starting to get drunk. My good buddy David Brown stood up, raised his glass, and looked genuinely sad. "Even though Jack Thompson is about to go to Los Angeles, you'll always be my good brother, no matter where you go. To be honest, I'm happy for you. You've sacrificed so much for that girlfriend of yours all these years. You gave up the career you loved, distanced yourself from everything you enjoyed, and spent all your time revolving around her. But none of that matters anymore. The fact that you've figured things out now is enough." I patted David Brown on the shoulder and smiled. "It's all in the past. No need to bring it up. A bright future is beckoning us." Emily Johnson, who was just raising her glass to drink juice, suddenly froze. The glass in her hand fell to the ground, and the shards cut her hand, but she didn't seem to notice. She just stared at me in disbelief. "Jack Thompson, what does he mean by that? What Los Angeles? Where are you going?" Before I could say anything, David Brown kindly explained, "What I mean is, Jack Thompson is leaving the city. He and his girlfriend are done, and he's off to live a better life." Hearing this, Emily Johnson suddenly stood up. Amidst everyone's confused expressions, she ignored Tom Smith's attempts to stop her and grabbed my arm, pulling me outside. Maybe it was the alcohol, but my body felt a little out of control. When I came to, Emily Johnson had already dragged me outside. Her eyes were red, and her voice trembled as she looked at me. "Jack Thompson, explain to me properly. What did that guy just mean?" "T means exactly what it sounds like," I said, standing there and casually kicking at the loose gravel at my feet, acting as if nothing was wrong. "Go to Los Angeles? What are you going to Los Angeles for? Why have you never mentioned this to me? I'm your girlfriend, but I'm hearing about you going to Los Angeles from someone else's mouth. Don't you have me in your heart at all?" Emily Johnson choked up, her eyes filled with panic and fear. "I was going to tell you. The first time I wanted to tell you was on the 3-year memorial of my brother, but you weren't there. The second time I wanted to tell you was the day Tom Smith came over, but you left with him. And now that we've broken up, why would I tell you anything?" I replied casually, my voice full of indifference. Hearing this, Emily Johnson was stunned. After snapping out of it, she stepped forward. "Leo, are you still angry that I left without saying goodbye on the 3-year memorial of your brother? 9-inch, I'm sorry, okay? Please, don't make a scene." Hearing Emily Johnson mention my brother again, I irritably kicked a piece of gravel away. "Enough, Emily Johnson. Don't mention my brother again. My brother saved your life, and what did you do? You can even forget his Memorial Day. Do you even have a heart?" "I'm not angry. I'm just tired." At this moment, Emily Johnson was in tears. She stepped forward, wanting to take my hand. I know everything. I will always remember my debt to your brother. But no matter what, I'm your Jack Thompson's girlfriend. You should tell me about any decision you make first." I looked at her with annoyance, not knowing what she wanted. In the past, I had shared everything with her, big and small, but she had always pushed me away with impatience. "Can you stop talking about this nonsense? I'm busy. I have work to do." "Do you have to go?" Emily Johnson looked at me sadly. I nodded, not saying anything more. "How long will you be gone for?" "I don't know. We'll see." She wasn't in my plans anyway, so there was no need for her to know. Besides, I couldn't be bothered to waste my breath explaining it to her. "Let's go home together, okay?" I'll drive you back. You've been drinking, I don't feel good about you driving. It wasn't easy to get a cab at this hour, and there was no need to argue over something so trivial, so I nodded. I turned around and walked back to the private room, with Emily Johnson following behind me. After all, the party wasn't over yet. But before I even reached the door of the room, I ran into my good buddies. David Brown looked at me with curiosity. I shook my head, not saying anything. Oh, by the way, Tom Smith is still inside, and he's pretty drunk. David Brown kindly reminded Emily Johnson, then winked at me. I knew David Brown was helping me test Emily Johnson, so I didn't say anything. Hearing David Brown's words, Emily Johnson, who was behind me, looked worried. She hesitated, glanced at me, and said tentatively, "Well, Tom Smith is all alone over there and doesn't have any friends. I'll go check on him. Wait for me." With that, Emily Johnson started walking towards the private room. I couldn't help but laugh. Tom Smith's buddies were the ones who invited him to this dinner. How could she say he didn't have any friends? I reached into my pocket, wanting to take out my phone and call a cab, but realized that my phone was still in the private room, so I had no choice but to turn back. When I reached the door of the private room, I saw Tom Smith practically hanging all over Emily Johnson, his eyes filled with desire as he looked at her. I watched Tom Smith reach out and pull Emily Johnson down, their heads getting closer and closer. I couldn't be bothered to deal with them. I just wanted to get my phone back, so I ignored them and went straight into the room. Seeing me, Emily Johnson pushed Tom Smith away, and she explained in a flustered voice, he said his eyes were bothering him, so I was just taking a look. Their lips were almost touching just now, and now she was saying she was just blowing in his eyes. I was speechless. I nodded in understanding. Yeah, keep blowing in his eyes. Don't delay his treatment. David Brown suddenly grabbed Emily Johnson's arm and said coquettishly, "Wendy, can you take me back to the hotel? I can't find my way by myself." David Brown leaned his head on Emily Johnson's arm, shaking his head. But Emily Johnson just gently stroked his head, looking at him with affection. I had once wanted to get close to Emily Johnson when I was drunk, but she had run far away, saying she didn't like drunk people. But now, she didn't seem to mind at all. It turned out that I just wasn't that special person. Emily Johnson looked at me with a helpless expression. Tom Smith is so drunk, I don't feel good about leaving him alone at the hotel. How about we take him to the hotel together first? Then the two of us can go home? Before I could say anything, David Brown suddenly changed his action and wrapped his arms tightly around Emily Johnson's waist. The two of them were acting ambiguously and intimately. They looked more like a real couple than we did. I picked up my phone and said as I replied to a message, "No need. I'll just go home myself." Emily Johnson wanted to say something else, but David Brown suddenly covered her mouth with his hand. I took a cab home myself, my head spinning. But all the way, as I looked at the scenery along the street, memories of Emily Johnson and me flashed through my mind one after another. It was true that I no longer loved her and that I wanted to let go. But I was only human. I had feelings, and I would be sad. Now that I thought about it, the excuses that Emily Johnson had used to leave me behind were undoubtedly to go and be with David Brown. And I, all these years, had been acting like a fool. I went outside and got some fresh air. It was all ready. 2 hours later when I got home. When I went inside, I found Emily Johnson and Tom Smith sitting on the couch. Tom Smith was lying on Emily Johnson's lap. Seeing me, Emily Johnson quickly explained, "Tom Smith drank too much, and I didn't feel good about leaving him alone at the hotel, so I brought him back." I took off my coat and replied in a flat tone, "Okay." Emily Johnson explained again and again, "Tom Smith isn't feeling well, and he drank so much today. I was worried that something would happen to him, so I brought him back." Don't overthink it. Okay. Seeing that I didn't react, Emily Johnson didn't say anything more and just lowered her head, massaging Tom Smith's head. My head was killing me. I walked towards the master bedroom, wanting to rest, and stumbled into the door, making a loud noise. Emily Johnson stopped what she was doing and looked at me with a helpless expression. Jack Thompson, is that really necessary? Do you have to be jealous over something like this? How old are you? Are you still trying to get my attention like this? Fine, 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 I'll massage your head later too. No need. With that, I walked into the master bedroom and closed the door. The next morning, I woke up to find that it was already noon. When I got up to wash up and pass by the guest bedroom, I saw Tom Smith hugging Emily Johnson as they slept soundly. I took out my phone and took a picture, saving it. I went into the kitchen and made some soup for myself because my stomach was upset. Hearing the noise in the kitchen, Emily Johnson came over and leaned in close to me. It smells so good. Can you pour me a bowl too? Leo, you don't know. Tom Smith kept me up half the night last night. I feel dizzy now. How are you feeling? Dizzy? Seeing that I didn't say anything, she asked tentatively, a hint of guilt in her eyes. I'm fine. Go back to taking care of him. After all, Tom Smith isn't feeling well. I replied in a flat tone, not even looking. Gee at her. Emily Johnson's expression was a little unnatural. She probably hadn't expected that I, who was usually so possessive, would be so cooperative. Seeing this, Emily Johnson changed the subject. Oh, by the way, I heard one of your buddies say he's getting married yesterday. When is it? Tell me in advance, and I'll go with you. I stopped stirring the soup, a look of confusion flashing in my eyes. All these years, Emily Johnson had always kept me away from those buddies, saying she didn't like them. But now, she was offering to go to a buddy's wedding with me? 11. Seeing that I didn't say anything, she said coquettishly, Oh, I haven't been to a wedding in a long time, and I want to join in the fun. I put the soup on the table and looked up at her expressionlessly. But I want to go by myself. Tom Smith knows the groom, too. You can have him take you. Emily Johnson looked at me in disbelief. She hadn't expected that I would directly refuse her, and even tell another man to take her. But I'm your girlfriend? What would it look like if I went with Tom Smith? I took a sip of the soup and looked at her calmly. It doesn't matter. You're good friends. What's wrong with good friends going to a wedding together? Seeing that I was using the words she had once said to me to brush her off, Emily Johnson froze. A hint of disappointment flashed in her eyes, and she couldn't keep the smile on her face any longer. Do you have any plans for today? Let's go see a movie together. I looked at Emily Johnson with a puzzled expression. Was she free? No, I have something to do today. Then I'll go see a movie with Tom Smith today? I chuckled. Okay, have fun. Emily Johnson couldn't hold back any longer. She rushed forward and looked at me incredulously. Jack Thompson, why do you look so indifferent? I'm going out with another man, and you're not even jealous? Why should I be jealous? You're going out with your good friend. Isn't that something to be happy about? Emily Johnson suddenly fell silent. She froze on the spot, momentarily speechless. The truth was that I had booked a flight to Los Angeles for today. I didn't have time to spend with her. Before Emily Johnson could say anything else, Tom Smith walked out of the bedroom. He looked at Emily Johnson with a pained expression. Wendy, I think I'm having another attack. My head hurts so much. Emily Johnson looked at Tom Smith with a worried expression. Oh, then I'll take you to the hospital now. Then, Emily Johnson hesitated and glanced at me. Go ahead, don't let it get serious, I kindly reminded her, my eyes full of indifference. Emily Johnson looked at me gratefully. I'll make you sweet and sour fish when I get back tonight. You won't be getting any, Emily Johnson. Let's just go our separate ways after today. Emily Johnson hurriedly helped Tom Smith out the door. After they left, I packed my documents and left the apartment I had lived in for 6 years. On the way to the airport, Emily Johnson kept sending me text messages. On the way to the hospital. Arrived at the hospital. The doctor is doing an examination. Looking at the messages reporting her whereabouts, I found it incredibly funny. This was probably the first time Emily Johnson had proactively reported her whereabouts to me. I didn't reply to a single message, and I opened my moments. I posted a moment with only 2 words, goodbye. The location was set at the airport. Less than a minute after the moment was posted, I received a call from Emily Johnson. I didn't answer it. I didn't need to think to know what she was going to say. There was no point. A second before boarding, Emily Johnson's messages were still coming in. Are you going to Los Angeles today? Why didn't you tell me? I'm rushing to the airport now. Can you wait for me? How long will you be gone for? When are you coming back? I only replied with one message, Emily Johnson, we've already broken up. I didn't sleep well last night, and I was drowsy on the way. 12 after getting off the plane, I took out my phone and found it full of Emily Johnson's bombardment. Annoyed, I went straight to the mobile phone shop near the airport and got a new number. I started a new life, full and happy every day. One day, I received a call from my good buddy David Brown. Before I could say anything, Emily Johnson's sobbing voice came from the other end of the phone. Jack Thompson? Are you never coming back? Jack Thompson, do you not want me anymore? How can you be so heartless? We've been together for 7 years. How can you just break up like that? I said with a wry smile, Emily Johnson, you should know that someone has strayed off course and forgotten their original intentions. Is it that you've been angry with me all along because of your brother's matter? Emily Johnson said tearfully on the other end, Emily Johnson, I don't know how many times I have to say it for you to understand that the problem between us has never been because of my brother. When you repeatedly lied to me and abandoned me for Tom Smith, you should have known that we were coming to an end. Perhaps my tolerance and concessions over the years have made you think that everything is a matter of course, but I'm also human. I also have dignity. When I give again and again, but all I get in return is your casual trampling, my heart will also grow cold. Let's just leave it at that. This was the first time I had told Emily Johnson my true feelings, and I felt relieved after saying it. There was a long silence on the other end. After a while, David Brown's voice came from the phone. She's crying very sadly. I hung up the phone, not actively trying to coax Emily Johnson anymore. Because there was no need. Once you let go, there's no need to look back. From then on, I didn't reply to any of Emily Johnson's calls or messages. Half a year later, I had just finished class when I saw Emily Johnson at the school gate at a glance. Emily Johnson looked much more haggard and thinner. Seeing me, a hint of joy flashed in her eyes. Class is over? Can I treat you to dinner? No, I have plans, I replied politely and distantly, with no emotion in my eyes. Leo, can you give me another chance? Look, I've already deleted all of Tom Smith's contact information. I've already made things clear with him. I won't see him again from now on. Can we start over? Emily Johnson, you know me. I don't make decisions easily, but once I make a decision, I never look back. Hearing this, Emily Johnson's face turned pale, and she trembled as she cried. Is there no chance? I said with a relieved expression, no, let's just go our separate ways. I turned and left, ignoring Emily Johnson, who was crying her heart out behind me. On the 4th memorial of my brother, I saw Emily Johnson not far away downstairs. But I turned around and went upstairs as if I didn't see her. From then on, time and I were both moving forward. Again. Tom Smith was also forced to jump off a building because he was dodging debts everywhere. As for me, I came to my daughter's grave. Olivia Thompson took out the antique jade ring that I had once given away and handed it to me. Mom, I wanted to ask before, why did you give your heirloom to that family of ungrateful people? As I buried the antique jade ring in my daughter's grave, I said faintly, because this is the Shin family's heirloom. Giving it to them only represented my determination to take everything back.